What's going on, guys? I want to make this video short because it's just stuff that I've said a million times already. And this is another more Saturnian symbolism in, this time, a video game. Xbox does this thing called Games with Gold. They give out a couple free games a month, right? A couple months ago, they gave out Metal Gear Rising Revengeance for free. I actually just posted a video the other day called Massive Red Pills in Metal Gear Games. Some of the clips are from this video game, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, but that video doesn't touch on this particular piece of symbolism. It just shows other parts from cutscenes of the games that don't necessarily deal in symbolism, but it's connected at the end of the day. But it deals more in like a different level of analysis of things. Cutscenes addressing like false flags, right? Stuff like that. Anyways, so right here, there's a level I was playing, right? I was walking around. I walked past this big building, and on the building it says World Marshal. And obviously, like, World Marshal means like world police, like global government, right? Which is, when you think of the New World Order, there's a bunch of components to it. There's a spiritual side to it. There's a psychological side to it. There's an emotional side to it. And some of the manifestations of what the New World Order is would be partially, a global government, a one world religion, a one world economy, a one world military, a one world police, and we've been seeing steps towards that over the years, and especially in the past century, with things like the UN, and some of the symbolism in the UN just confirms this even more. Anyways, and you could argue, that it's necessary. It's a necessary evil, and that's some of the things that the video game Metal Gear actually touches on. He says, like, did you think every war we fought was the outcome of some conspiracy? He's like, no, the thing that leads us to go to war, the hate inside us that leads us to go to war, is intrinsic inside our hearts. It's not like, obviously there's great deception, like deception that someone who's like looking for the truth probably hasn't even figured out a fraction of. But the point is, they're playing on things spiritual things, psychological things that we have to basically do some self-reflection, work on and rise above. Anyways, World Marshal, just to keep this quick, you got, first off, a global government. That's already symbolism in and of itself. And right there, the main thing I want you to see, is that O. The O in World and World Marshal is of course, a black hexagon, which is a black cube. I've said this a million times. A hexagon is a two-dimensional image of a three-dimensional cube. If you kind of just adjust the way you're looking at this thing, you can see a cube. It's obvious. Like, I think it's called spatial vision. I could be wrong about that. To be able to look at a two-dimensional image and make it appear three-dimensional. It's just you have to adjust your point of focus. Anyways, it's easy to see for me, especially now that I've gotten better at it. But some guy, I posted this on social media on Instagram because sometimes I share what I find on there. Some guy got upset with me, and he's like, he's like, have fun being afraid of shapes, like something along those lines. Like, have fun being, at a lower frequency. You're scared of shapes, right? Like, it's just some new age crap. But the point is, first of all, there's no fear here. Like, I'm not, like, scared looking at this. It doesn't fill me with fear in my heart. I'm just trying to understand what the truth is. And if you want to, like, meditate your way into paradise or whatever, then give up this work. Half half of overcoming something is understanding it and looking at it for what it is. And okay, here's the truth. Okay, like let's move past, like let's grow from it or overcome it. Anyways, he said, have fun being afraid of shapes, because he didn't understand the connection between the black hexagon and the context of World Marshal. You know how when you're learning new vocabulary and you don't know what a word is, your teacher would tell you, look at the context clues, right? To try and figure out what the word means. Okay, yeah, so he's saying it to this guy in this manner. You can kind of extract data from the context to kind of get some baseline understanding of what the word could mean. The same is true with the symbol, man. If I just saw a hexagon, any old hexagon on the street, I wouldn't necessarily think, oh, Saturnian, it's evil, you know, like I wouldn't necessarily think that right off the bat. Although I might pay attention nowadays pay a little more conscious attention to it than I would before, just to see what it's all about. But obviously, like that, just because that shape exists doesn't mean it's always an occult reference. But he didn't understand, okay, why would they put the fucking O, pardon my language, as a black hexagon in World Marshal? Use the context clues. Use your common sense. The astrological symbolic representation of what the New World Order is would be the planet Saturn. The black hexagon, the black cube, is a Saturnian symbol. And the fact that they're using it in the O in World Marshal, it's obvious. It's not me reading into things. It's obvious. There's no other reason that they would do that. Like I said, if it just appeared anywhere, I wouldn't necessarily automatically be like, oh, it's occult symbolism. But in this context, it's undeniable. Like the other day, here's an example. The other day I went out to eat in the restaurant. The other week I went out to eat in the restaurant. There was lamps on the ceiling in the shape of hexagons. Sure, I thought about it for a second. I paid attention. I was like, okay, but I didn't sit there and be like, oh, this place is run by the devil. You know, I didn't because of the context. I didn't sit there because I look for this stuff now. I paid a little more awareness to it, but you know, oh well. It's not really setting me back any at all, like anything. But when you have it like this, it's clear, man. And there's probably something to this six-pointed star also, like a hexagram. A hexagon is the shape. A hexagram is like the Star of David, the Seal of Solomon, which, again, it's not even hidden, man. It's Saturnian worship. And the fact that this world split up into a grid like that, like a net, that's probably something. There's probably something to that too, because we've all seen like depictions of people basically trying to arrange like groups and secret societies in like a power hierarchy. And the way they'll do that is they'll use like a black pyramid with like a grid on it, like divided into sections. Kind of like the food pyramid, but like an occultic pyramid of control or power. Like, oh, here's the bankers, and here's the Masons, and here's the Jews, and here's the Zionists, you know, like whatever. Like they'll arrange it in a way maybe some people are, you know, they're right, but they're just making an attempt to basically show you who's really running the show. And I see that same grid layout when people are doing that. And, you know, I could speculate and be like, oh, maybe it's like compartmentalization. Like the guys up here at the top know really everything, and all the guys that are ultimately helping them along the way get to what they're trying to accomplish don't know what they're doing. Like it's all divided up, you know. I've even seen NRO, National Reconnaissance Office patches. They have a patch called the Keepers of the Domain or Defenders of the Domain, and it shows a knight in front of a planet, in front of the Earth, with a metal grid around it, with a cage around it, and it looks exactly like this. Because that's what these people are, ultimately, it's the name of the game, is control. Owning you, your mind, everything. Energy, money, everything. Anyways, you know, I don't want to keep this video too long. Just obvious, to me it's obvious, the fact that you're going to have World Marshal and the hexagon. And just in case you haven't seen it before, there's the hexagon on the planet Saturn, which go look into any culture's gods that are associated with the planet Saturn, and you'll start to get a bigger picture, and pay attention to how they were worshipped and what they represent, and toy around with the idea a little bit. Think about it in different ways. Look for parallels in your life and in history and other stories and video games and myths and religions, and you'll start to kind of piece it together. Use the context clues. So again, that whole statement about like, oh, you're scared of shapes, that means nothing, it was ridiculous. Like, hey, they didn't just do that for fun. I'll just tell you that right now. There's a black cube in the UN. That's a black cube. The UN's like the real life world of Marshal. You know what I mean? This isn't fantasy stuff. Metal Gear is notorious for having like, big philosophical, political, spiritual, there's a lot of memes surrounding it, and that's all good and fun. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But that series is known to tell a lot of truths, and this is just another one. But this one wasn't even directly said to you. It was just on the wall, on the side of the level. You didn't even have. You might have, if you were just playing the game, you might not have even seen it. Although I'm not too into the series. They probably talk about the world Marshal more in other games like of the series, but in this game in particular, it's just they really only mention it. Like, they don't really mention it. It's just on the building off to the side, and I saw it, had to take a picture of it, and there it is. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.